everybody, welcome to another episode of Superhuman Customs. Today we have something that I'm pretty excited about. Now, I had this Peacemaker body left over. We used the head on one of the Dungeons & Dragons figures for Christmas, and I was wondering what to do with this body, and then I realized that there was a version of Superman from, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, and it was a part of a storyline called Superman Truth. And in that, his powers were dropped down basically to the levels that they were when he first appeared, where he couldn't fly anymore, he'd only jump, that sort of stuff. And he wore a t-shirt and jeans. And I thought that would be awesome. I really like that look. And so I wanted to do that. Well, I had the body, I needed to get a Superman head. And I was gonna remove the hair in order to, just because he's kind of got a buzz cut, he's got really short hair. But I found this Red Sun Superman for 15 bucks at a show. And he's got pretty short hair, so I'm gonna leave it. I'm not gonna worry about removing the hair. He's got short hair, and that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna take some pieces off of an armored Lex Luthor, put the sign on there. This is gonna be cool, and I'm really excited to see how this guy turns out, so let's jump right in. So we've had these guys soaking for a little bit, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna peel off the Superman sign. I'm gonna try first with my fingernails and just see if we can get it off. And if not, then we can go in with some pliers and just start peeling. But generally, they come off pretty easily. See, once you get a corner, it starts to come off really, really easily. And just like that, you've got it off. There we go. Very, very nice. And now we just do the same thing with this Peacemaker stuff. It is a separate piece as well, as you can see. And so we just peel it off after it's been soaking for a couple minutes. Boom, there we go. Just taking a little bit of Milliput and I'm filling in the space here just so that it's flat and it's not going to cause any problems when I glue the symbol on. This isn't something you necessarily have to do. And I wasn't planning on doing it, but I was working on another figure and ended up having some extra Milliput. So it kind of worked out perfectly to do this. I hate wasting Milliput. It's like the most wonderful substance when it comes to being an action figure customizer, and I hate when I have any left over. So this is perfect. That'll work great. And while we're here, the shirt that Superman wears in the Truth storyline does not have a collar. I don't know if I'm going to cut the entire collar all the way down, because sometimes that looks really weird on figures, but I'm going to cut it down quite a bit, and then we'll go from there. Now, to get the skin to match a little bit better, I'm going to do a very light coat of my flesh tone. And I'm just going to move it around and get it so that it's just lightening up his skin just a little bit. And that should solve my skin tone problem. So you want to go really just a little bit, keep it nice and subtle. Don't put too much on there, and then when you get it on there, just move it around. Now you can see that I sanded down the gloves. And I'm just going to do a coat or two of the flesh tone over the top. The underneath was flesh tone, so that's one of the reasons why I did it, was to make it so that it would match better. And this will take a couple of coats, just really, really light, and it will look super nice once we're done and should match everything else, like how you can see that the head and the neck now match pretty good. So you can see that before the Milliput dried, I pressed the symbol into his chest so that it would have a resting place. So it's going to make it that much easier to glue, which is what we're going to do right now. One of the things about this Superman is that he has shreds of his cape wrapped around his fists because his cape was indestructible, and when the suit was like pulled away from him in one of the issues, he grabbed the tattered ends of the cape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, so you can see, fabric paint on his hands and go over them, because the fabric paint is three-dimensional, and it will allow me to create the look. And I'll just go over the tops right now and then do the insides here in a minute. But that will give the look that we want of him having the tattered cape on his fists. Now we're just going to go through with my ultramarine blue. This is a Vallejo paint. And we're just going to paint over here. Now, the blue on this version of Superman, it's generally in a, like sometimes it's shown really dark and sometimes it's shown a little bit lighter. I prefer the darker. I was actually thinking of adding a little bit of black to this, but looking at the pictures online, I think this blue works just fine. And so I'm just going to stick with this blue for now. And this red on here, I'm also going to paint blue. Originally, when I picked this S, I thought that it had a red line around the S and a yellow line in the comics, but it only had a yellow. So I'm just going to do the blue edge here and make it match the shirt, and then do the smaller line in yellow, the S in red, and then the interior in black. So just going to go through, and we're going to make this guy start to look like Superman Truth. Now for the pants, I did in fact have to mix some paint. So I just took that same blue and I added some gray to it. And that's what we're going to do for the pants here, because they are different colors. I might end up putting a little bit of wash on up here just to see, because I think I would like it a little bit darker. But this does have pretty good, this blue is a pretty good blue jean blue, because it's got the gray to it. So just a little bit of gray and that same blue. And I really do think I'm going to add a wash to the top, because I do want it, now that I've got this blue in place, it does look a little bit too bright for my personal taste. Again, based off of some of the artwork, this blue is just fine. And maybe it will look different once I get the S in place. So I probably shouldn't rush it right now and be like, oh, I'm going to do it. So I should probably paint that first. But just so you know, that's what I am moving toward. So far, honestly, the coloring on this guy, I'm not completely sold on. But I think that might change once I get the symbol painted. With the black here, the red of the S, and the yellow around. Hopefully that will make me so that I like this blue better, because I'm really not. And right now, the blues match almost perfectly, and they're not supposed to when it comes to the symbol here, because this is all supposed to be black. So I'm going to go through right now, put the black in, and then we'll do the red and the yellow, and hopefully that'll make everything else pop in the way that it kind of should. And if it doesn't, well, then we'll darken up the blue. But we're just going to have to see when this is all together. I don't want to do anything drastic right now, because once we get this symbol done, it might be perfect. It might be exactly what we want. But we won't know until we've got all of this painted. Because obviously, on any Superman figure, the S is the thing that stands out the most and the thing that draws the attention. So let's see if we can get it to where it's doing those things. And while we're here, I'm going to blacken up the belt. Some of the images, he's got a belt. Some of them, the shirt covers the belt. I'm just going to go with being able to see the belt, because obviously you can on this figure, and I don't want to go too crazy with changing that and trying different stuff with the shirt. So you're going to be able to see his belt. Oops, I got a little bit on the pants there. And that's fine. I can paint over it. That's the beautiful part about this, remember, is that if you screw up a little bit, it's all right, because you can just paint over the top of it and fix it. So don't be too hard on yourself if you make little mistakes like that. They're easy to fix. And red Vallejo paint. And I'm just going to go nice and slow so that I can cover up where I got black on there, but not go into the black if needed. And as always, you want to get enough paint so that the paint leads to the edge of the brush and not the other way around. so that you don't need to touch the edge with the bristles. You touch it with the paint, and that usually works out pretty beautifully. So just do that, and it should work out the way you want. All right, the yellow. In this version of the symbol, the yellow is actually really important for contrast and just to add some color. We're used to seeing the Superman sign with just the red and the yellow. And with this one with the black, having this yellow outline really just gives it life. And so it's hugely important. As you can see already, it just changes the entire feel of the symbol. So make sure that you don't skip out on this, even though it's a really thin part. You might not think it's important, but it really is if you want this guy to pop and be, damn it, getting a little bit on there. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. That's why we have to do cleanup sometimes. But you can see it's really making a difference. All right, after deliberating for a minute, I am going to add some wash to this guy. I think he's just got too much texture to him to leave him as he is. So I'm just going to go and move it around a little bit and get it in here, and then go over with a piece of toilet paper in order to give myself a little bit more texture. And if I need to go over with the blue again to add some areas, I can. But it's already looking better. For me, it was just that blue was just, it didn't give it any life. It didn't have enough life to it as it stood before. And this looks like it does. So I'm going to go through on the jeans as well, and I'll probably add a lighter layer of some gray on the jeans afterward. But I think this is the right choice. I don't know about you guys, but I really like this version of Superman. I liked it in the comics. It was an interesting time for Superman. His identity had been revealed, and then obviously retconned later, which has happened another time since then. But I liked this look, and it's one that probably will never get in toy form because it's not necessarily popular and the design isn't like super crazy, which is what McFarlane likes, but I dig it. And I'm really happy with how he turned out. I love the colors. I love just the sort of drabness. And I like that the head worked really nicely. I could remove the hair and put some Milliput and make it less so that it really is buzzed. But for me, this works. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends if they're into customizing. Let's get more people over here so I can keep producing more stuff. And I hope you guys are having fun. And I hope you're enjoying these and that they just give you ideas and that you are having fun with your customs as well. I'm Stephen Heumann. Check out stephenheumann.com for all my novels, and I will see you guys next week.